Welcome to this podcast. This is Womanology. Man, my rap skills getting better.
She is back. So we talked about this in previous episodes. When you see your friend doing something that you know they probably should lay off of,
sound like a hater. I'm about to get this rap game. We gotta tweak it.
We gotta
tweak it.
Redefine it.
I gotta figure this out. So yeah, this is Ria.
Yes, friend. This is Chloe, and you are listening to and tuning into Womanology, where we are talking about our healing journey, our friendship. But what's very special for us is that we're both psychologists, so we're coming to you from that lens.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about everything woman.
Everything woman, everything ology. Yes. So first we want to shout out I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's okay, friend.
I forgot. This week, y'all, I'm not even gonna play. Life in this week. It's been a whole lot going on. Yeah. There's been so much tragedy going on. So I just forgot. Within our community and with things just been happening personally, it's just been a lot of stuff happening. But yeah, this is Ria _Dakota_ED.S. I got it right that time. Because I'm a rapper. I don't never know that name. Just look for the girl in the blue dress.
No, you good.
My bad.
But this is Womanology, where you can follow us on Instagram, Womanology_podcast. And me personally, I am yours truly _Chloe. What's going on? But yes, yours truly _Chloe is where you can follow me personally.
And then we're Womanology _podcast. Mm-hmm. And maybe I wasn't paying attention. My bad.
Again, it's a lot going on for us, but we wanted to acknowledge a particular tragedy that happened within our community this past Monday. So you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so for sure. So of course we know that what's going on in St. Louis, we're all dealing with a lot of loss. A lot of things that has happened this past week has just been traumatic. So what happened at CFP PA, Central for Performing Arts School, we know that it was a tragedy. Someone came in there, previous alumni came in and just shot the school up. And it's just horrible to hear about that in our city. I mean, I'm a St. Louis City born and raised resident. So it's very difficult. I used to work for St. Louis Public for a very long time. I recently just left. That would have been my building had I not, left after the pandemic. I literally left, not after the pandemic. I left in the middle of the pandemic while the students were doing virtual learning. Oh, okay. So yeah, when, coming back, that would have been my building. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it was just a big tragedy. So then I went to the town hall meeting, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the town hall meeting was Wednesday with Cori Bush, Congresswoman Cori Bush. Shout her out, whoop whoop. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I want to state this is because she had on her panel some students from Central Performing Arts. Okay. She had a couple of superintendents from different districts, like Riverview School, and I think UCD. Superintendent was on there too. Oh, nice. And then of course
actually working Rittner with me, so yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a couple of superintendents was on the board or on the panel, I should say. Mm-hmm. And of course she had safety, so she had a security guard from St. Louis Public, and then she had a police officer or chief officer, I should say. I'm not sure if he was from St. Louis Police Department or if he was from St. Louis County Police Department. I'm not sure, so I don't want to quote or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but just to hear that baby speak, and I just want to commend her. She spoke so eloquently. She talked about how are they supposed to come back to school after all of this has happened. And then she also talked about we've been asking you to do more about this gun policy. It's no way that a 19-year-old should still have a gun. And she broke it down. She was 18, regardless if you all think I'm grown, I'm still a kid. I'm still a teenager. 19, regardless if you all think I'm grown, I'm still a kid. I'm still a teenager.
Your brain hasn't even fully developed to make rational decisions.
Exactly.
So knowing that, I'm not sure what this young man had experienced, but I know we talk about this in schools all the time about mental health. And I don't want to say that the problem rests in one specific, like, community of people. It's not just the school, it's not just the families, but something needs to happen to be able to educate and help these kids with problem solving skills. Like, just because you had issues with a particular person or a group of people, that's not how you handle your issues. And unfortunately, that man lost his life, but he took the lives of two people, innocent people.
Two innocent
and
people.
The fact that we go through all of these trainings, I just went through one at the high school. Was it a shooter drill? Or? Yes, our intruder, like 4E training for the staff. And it's like, it's crazy we even have to prepare the adults, and especially we have to prepare the children that this is a normal thing. Like, I think it touched me so much is because we hear about it in other places, but this hit home for us. Yeah. And especially, like, it's not like something had happened and it was like a result of like some type of huge tragedy, but this happened and it just rocked our city. And it's like, how do you come back? So speak on that a little bit more of what was discussed on that panel. Like, how do you expect children? We just talked about this before we even started. Like, the kids not just only at that school, but in that surrounding city schools. Yeah. How do they come back and feel safe? You know what I'm saying?
So we did talk about that on that panel, but just to go back to what you stated, I was talking to my son about the shooting, and I was like, I hate that this has become so normalized for you guys, because when we were in high school, this, you know, like when Columbine happened, it was just a tremendous tragedy. It was like so heartbreaking for us. And then you're used to hearing this.
Now we are desensitized to it. You know what I'm saying? That it happens. It's, you know, you extend your condolences, and it's a horrible loss for wherever it happens. But, you know, life just goes on. But now that it hit us, it's like, oh my gosh. It's like now has opened the floodgates, because while we are preparing for it, going through these trainings, because it possibly can happen, like now it's like this can possibly be a real thing that we need to consider more than beyond than just this training. So how do we need to implement safety precautions to make sure like the doors are closed and locked during school hours, or metal detectors, or all of these things? And it's like, this ain't even school no more, it's like a jail. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what make it so crazy. And they mentioned this at the panel, and like they said, shout out to St. Louis Police Department, St. Louis Finest. They did their thing. They did their thing. They did their job.
They really did.
Getting in, getting out. They did their exactly. So I have to shout them out, because they did an excellent job with that. Yeah. But they did mention that at the panel, like, we practice this, like you said, but we really tried to have no fatalities. Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, we had those.
So my condolences, our condolences from Womanology,
or to the families,
extended to the families.
Yes, for sure. And then to the hearts of those children. Yeah. So, like, going back to that town hall meeting, what this baby had, what this baby had said.
It's okay.
Oh, I thought that was me. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so going back to the you know, the town hall meeting of what this baby had said. She's 18, but again, you know, it's like. She's still a child to me. She was like, we worked hard. That's what I was
like, is this me? Sorry. This is real life, okay?
This is real life. So, yeah, so going back to that town hall meeting, she said, like, how are we supposed to come to school and go back to dancing, go back to singing, go back to painting, go back to being our true selves when somebody came in and massacred our school. She said, you all don't understand. It was blood splattered on our marble dance floors. I think I lost it when she said that. Because just for her to paint that picture and to see it and to see, just imagine the children running was horrible.
No child, no person should have to endure that, especially our youth. So, yeah, how do you bounce back from that? And it's first acknowledging the reality of the world and the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? That children have access to guns when they shouldn't be. That we're not really getting to the root of the problem with helping kids understand how to deal with their emotions and how to problem solve with conflicts. Again, I'm not sure what that young man endured that led him to that Monday in order to go into that school and do what he did. But it's like someone needed to have intervened. And again, I'm not pointing any fingers of who that should have been, but there should have been some resources accessible to him to be able to communicate, get those feelings out.
For sure.
And I feel like that was the only way to solve that issue. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where some of that's where it starts. Yeah.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's exactly what they stated at the town hall meeting. They stated like we need to be more coherent and listen to our children. And this police officer, and I really forgot his name, but he stated, he was like, a lot of our times our kids need to vent because he sees it, you know, like when he you know, is patrolling rather. And he was like, a lot of times our children just need to vent. They need to get a lot of things coming off their chest. And then of course, you know, we work in St. Louis City, so our children are not they're not their life experiences are different experience from a child who lives in Clayton. Let's just be honest. Yeah. So if I am coming home and I have a lot of stuff at home and then I come to school and that stuff is with me and then I bring it to school and all you want to do is yell at me, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. And then he mentioned that, and then Congresswoman Cori Bush, she also stated they have been working diligently to get the gun laws changed. Yeah. It is truly at the Missouri state level that is holding this up. They have worked diligently to try to get these laws, you know, these laws passed.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure. And it's important. In last episode, we had the guys from Just Posting. We talked about us parenting and the fears that we have associated with our children. And of course, I know that is a fear that all of us share. And we talked about how do you communicate to your children after such a tragedy, even though it may not have happened at their school or the neighboring schools or just within the community. Like, how do you tell them, like, these, I mean, it's just a reality. This is what you have to prepare for. That's why those I love yous are important because you never know. I'm sure those people waking up that Monday didn't foresee that could have happened. So being able to just love on your children.
A mama didn't come home to her kids and a daughter didn't come home to her mom.
You know what I'm saying? And it breaks my heart to have to prepare my child for that. And I know for your children it's difficult, but it's a reality that I hate that is in existence.
Where we live in.
And it's just so sad that that's now a close reality for us because it just happened here.
And then like the last thing that I got from the town hall meeting, I stayed the entire time too, but I'm just going to do these last 2 points. So one of Cori Bush's Congresswoman Cori Bush, I want to be respectful in her title. She brought in one of her men's, I think he's in New York. I forgot his name. But he stated what we need to do. And you and I talked about school psychologists and how sometimes some districts like stagnate us or whatever on what we're able to do. But he stated like we all need to have more school psychologists in the building to do trauma-informed practices.
Exactly. And that's what we went to school for. And I love where I work and where I'm employed. I feel like we do a great job. But there are facets of our title of our job that we can facilitate those counseling groups that I hate that I can't exercise as much as I would want to because we do a lot of evaluations and determining eligibility for students with special needs. But it's like in turn, it's like even what you were talking about, like the wraparound services, being able to go into the community and support their needs because that's what's needed. So when you talk about because of St. Louis City, not saying that anywhere else isn't experiencing trauma outside of the school setting, but because we know that a lot of children in that particular area are experiencing maybe more, it's like we need to address that because how do I expect you to come in and learn, sit down and consume this information
after everything that has happened to me the night before?
Exactly. And now how do you expect these children to feel safe in this school? Not to say that they didn't do what they needed to. I believe, and I don't want to misquote, that he may have snuck in or got in some other way other than the front doors where they said that all the doors were locked. But some way this guy got in.
He shot out the back. It was a back door, and the windows are not bulletproof. So he shot out that window and was able to open the door, and that's literally what happened. And it's just because it was an old building. So you know, some buildings are not
But not even that,
bulletproof.
Ria. There are so many schools that are their front is all
the
glass.
way. Yes.
So even in our district, we were talking about the what is it, plexiglass that can't be just shot out and things like that. But it's like most of our schools, so you can see who's coming in more than just hearing them on the little intercom. You want to be able to see. I mean, that's what's there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not to say that school did a disservice to the children and not making the environment safe, but I mean, this man was able to get in.
We got to redo some things.
Yeah, but still, now going back, and I'm not sure what the protocol is for them re-entering school there, but it's like, how do I feel safe now? Like, how, like every little boom or something drops, I'm gonna be on edge. So that means that my basic needs aren't being met. So I can't use this other part of my brain that is used to absorb knowledge.
Like you're constantly stuck in that flight or fight syndrome. Yeah, and then a lot of times with our children, if I'm constantly fighting, then my brain cannot process to be actually present because I'm constantly on the go. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So
it needs to be a lot, I'm sure, to regain that re-entry process for these children, but I just pray for them and extend again my condolences to the family, to the schools, to SLPS in a whole, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody was impacted, because you talked about how all the schools were locked down at that point in time that was occurring. So
that bereavement, that grief that they have, the grieving of school, of people, it's just a lot.
It is, and we have dealt with that personally with loss and with grieving, and it is a journey.
It is definitely a journey.
I'm getting chills just talking about it.
I told
you, but it's a journey, and it's and no one journey is the same. So it's very unique to that individual, and for me, I had lost people before, you know what I'm saying? My grandmother when I was 10, you know, cousins or distant relatives, you know what I'm saying? In between times, but 2020, I would say before then, 2017 rocked my world. It really, really did, with my mother getting sick. And just to share a little bit, like, 'cause we touch on it in certain episodes and you guys hear certain things, but my mother got really sick in 2017. Like it was crazy. It was unexpected. She was getting up that morning, and unfortunately, she had a stroke and then a brain aneurysm, and everything after that just was like, I'm in a fog. I don't know. I just totally in this moment I have to lean on God, because I don't know how I got through it, because I was about to graduate school and everything, and dealing with her not being mobile, on a ventilator, having a trach, all of these different infections that come from that, learning all of these medical terms. I felt like I was a nurse going to school, like, so I could understand what was going on, so I would know how to be present for her.
The medical terms when you ain't go to school for that. Them medications when you ain't go to school for that.
Break this down,
baby.
And you know how we are, and this is another thing to touch back to our professions, that this is one thing that I make sure of when I'm doing in meetings, that I talk to these parents, these families, like, they're my family, and it's like, I don't want to talk over your head by giving you all of this jargon. Like, I want to break it down,
because we have a lot of jargon that's just like we understand, but they don't.
Yeah, so being at the hospital, it's like, break this down. You're telling me all of this. What does this even mean? And even so, it's like, again, my senses are like, I want to be there for my mother, but I want to understand what's going on, that everything else that was happening in my life, and again, I have to apologize to even my daughter in that moment. I was not present. I just couldn't be. I had never experienced anything so traumatic before, but I say thank you to my family. I couldn't have made it through that situation without them. But it's like I lost my mother in 2017 and had to learn to love a totally different person than I was used to, you know what I'm saying? So for 2.5 years, going to the hospitals, going to the nursing homes, balancing life, interacting with my family who I love and adore, and we all were experiencing experiencing it at the same time, to only experience in March of 2020 my father being diagnosed with cancer. So it's like I'm already grieving a loss of something normal, to learn something,
a different
new.
personality, and trying to learn a new personality,
exactly,
and then new information.
And then my daddy was at the hospital and at the nursing home every single day. He didn't miss a beat. And
that's his wife.
So, yes. And oh my God, that relationship is
that's why I said that's his wife.
Whole different thing. But him learning he was diagnosed, and me. And this was a crazy friend. Like, I remember getting a phone call from the doctors because they were like, he is not answering the phone, so we have to contact you. And me being able to tell him what it was and tell him that he had cancer. And not just cancer, but stage 4. So it was like, baby, I was weak. I'm a Pisces, so I'm emotional anyway. I was weak in being able to tell him that and to almost see the life, like, leave him in that moment of, like, facing that reality. But grief in itself is a journey. And it was like I didn't have anyone who had experienced similar things, so I didn't know who to lean on. And it was so hard to even lean on my family because we were all experiencing it too. Yeah. So it's like, I want to tell you, like, I couldn't sleep. I was crying. Because, shit, you crying too. Like, so it's like I didn't want to
bother you.
I didn't want to bother, especially like my sisters. I didn't want to bother them with that, but it was like I was internalizing all of these feelings and didn't know what to do with them. So,
and I feel that way too. Like again, like last podcast, I am like the youngest of 8, but I lost a sister. I lost, so now, again, I said it was 4 girls, 4 boys. So I lost my oldest sister. Yeah. And at that time, like I said, we're kind of, and we're kind of stir steps. We like new baby coming in, new baby coming out, as people might say. So although her and I were like years apart, it was several kids in between us, and then the girls were closer, and so it's very hard to like I need to lean on you, but how do I do that when you just lost the same person that I lost? So it's hard. And like I said, losing someone physically, because I feel like I said, 2017 I lost a mother that I had loved all my life and had to learn and get to understand her in a different way. It was so foreign to me, and like I said, experiencing that while still trying to manage life, like I made some wrong decisions. And again, when your needs aren't being met, you're kind of careless with some of your decision making. You make a lot of impulsive decisions.
Indulged into a relationship that was toxic. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure that relationship with my daughter could have been better. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to juggle it all. So again, it's not an excuse for having done certain things, but it gives some rationality to why I made those decisions, because, baby, I was not in my right mind. And I feel like even now, since their loss and their passing, it's like I still have moments, and it's like a gut punch sometimes, because it comes out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. It's a quote that I've read, and I need to know names. I forgot it.
That's okay.
But grief is like a running faucet. Like sometimes it runs, then sometimes it stops, right? And then sometimes it runs slow. Like sometimes you have those memories that pop up, and it's kind of like, okay, it's not so bad. And then sometimes it runs so fast that you cannot. That gut punch you said that. It's like it's just coming at you, and you cannot stop it. I remember one time I was driving, and I had to pull over, and I was like, I was literally bawling. Because I was like, what am I supposed to do without her? Like I was so angry at her, and I know we haven't discussed on stages, but I was like so mad at her. Like, what am I supposed to do without you? So,
girl, like literally, so I get that, because I remember when I went into my parents' house, and you've been there, like, and my uncle called me and was like, you need to get over here. And I remember he had passed. My father had passed. And I wrote, like, one of the first things I said was like, you're supposed to wait for me. Like, and, oh my gosh. But, And like you said, it's like you are angry. It's like, come on, like I would have taken care of you my
entire life. My whole life. I would have been at the hospital with you.
Yeah.
And it would have been nothing. And I would have went
gave up
everything. And it would have been us.
Yes.
And we would have been okay.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. So like you said, those stages, it's like you get upset, but then it's like a shock, like, I'm really out here by myself now. Like, I don't have my parents, and like they were everything to me, and we're such a close-knit family, so they were like these anchors that kept us all functioning, you know what I'm saying? And
now in parenting, we talked about nice parents, but Chloe really did have nice parents.
Thank you.
Chloe really had, I had to be mama, but Chloe had nice parents. Like her mom was like, okay, God, like she had her daddy.
Baby, yeah.
She had nice parents.
They were amazing, and not only to me, but for Cameron. We talked about that in probably our first.
The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a show for 80s babies who were 90s kids. If you were a No Limit soldier, then this is your show. If you believe that Cash Money is not an army but was a Navy, this is the show for you. If you and your friends ever tried to sing a song written by Escape, In Vogue, Shy, or Boyz II Men at a talent show during middle school, this is your show. The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a bunch of 80s babies talking about all the songs and things that we loved when we were kids and teenagers. So if you went to the skating rink and you were at a lock-in, this is the show for you. If you think that Tevin Campbell was the original Prince of R&B, this is the show for you. If you don't understand the conflict between Monica and Brandy, but you're kind of on Monica's side and understand why Brandy got punched, this is the show for you. Make sure that you tune in, subscribe, click the little subscribe link. We're here. We're going to talk about all things 90s music. This is the show for you.
About how our parents stepped in the absence
our
of
dads,
our children's fathers.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were everything. So yeah, went through all of those stages. What is it? Shock and shock. Girl, I can't even think right now. My mind all over the place.
So you're right. I didn't even think about those, but it's shock, it's anger, it's
I know guilt is in there.
It's guilt, and it's
Girl, let me look it up. It's okay.
Wait a minute.
We're all human.
It's on the
sometimes it don't be on our brain.
Tip of my tongue. Denial.
Yeah.
It's one more because it's 5. Acceptance.
Yes. So was that all of them, friends?
Acceptance.
So
shock.
So 5.
Anger. Denial. And guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go through all of those probably in one moment, and I gotta feel it all.
And that's normal.
It is, but it was like right after it happened. So my parents passed 2.5 months apart. So it's like while I was grieving my mother's passing, baby, that was a whole situation that I would definitely want to keep that more sacred about how that occurred.
Yes.
But I was dealing with that grief while just finding out my father was going to be placed on hospice. And within 2.5 months, he had passed. So it's like I didn't even have time. And even after my father passed, it was like now I got to deal with everything associated with him as far as like his finances. We had a family home that we sold within that time. And I'm just so thankful I didn't have to do all of that by myself. And I had my sisters and my brother present to support. We were supporting each other, but it was like I didn't even deal with like this really happened. It was just the aftermath of what you deal with when anyone passes, especially if you're close to them and have to take care of their affairs. But it was that it was like this March. It's like everything caught up to me. So it was like over a year, like when I was going through the feelings, but I went right back to work within 6 weeks.
It was, and I remember I used to say like, why are you back there? I remember
because
calling you.
Because this is the thing with me, I have to keep busy. And because of that, I like keep busy so I don't have to deal with it. Because low key, I was scared of myself. Because of like how much it was that we dealt with, it was like if I tap into that shit for real, I'm going to lose my mind.
You don't want to know me.
You don't want to know me. I don't even want to know myself because I've never dealt with it. I can't even say, but I remember everybody was like, you okay? Are you really cool? And I'm like, yeah. Like, everybody was waiting for me to lose my shit. Like,
I wasn't waiting.
honestly.
I was just like more concerned because I know you have siblings, of course, you know, mom and dad. But I was just thinking to myself, she's basically the only child because she doesn't have a sibling
that share both
parents. And
yeah.
I was like, it's
true.
literally just her. So I would be like, why are you going to work? And why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck it at that time.
No,
not saying like
no,
like that.
I
was
get
like,
it.
She's
because you can only do what I allow you into.
Exactly, and that's exactly how I felt.
And I think that when you do have your family and your friends who want to be there, lean on that support system. Because if you don't, what I experienced is that I lost it at a certain point. So that was just this past March, and I remember calling on my sister, my oldest sister, and was like, I'm hyperventilating and I cannot stop. Like, I could not catch it, and I can't even remember. I think I was leaving one building because I work in two buildings. I work at that time at two elementary schools, and I was leaving, and I felt like I wanted to pick up the phone and call my daddy and tell him something, and like that reality hit, like, I can't even do this.
That phone,
and that I lost it.
I felt that way too, because my sister and I, like, we're school psychologists. My sister is a speech language pathologist, and you know, we work just like this.
Yeah.
And
Side
so,
by side.
similar to you, she was ill before she passed. She was she has lupus, and she was just ill before she passed. And so, like, her and I used to talk on the phone because she was at home, you know, and just talking and like checking in, da 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 da. And then it was something happened I wanted to tell her about. It was like a joke or like a parent or something like that. And something about like with meetings. I think it was some person, you know, we deal with this like an education teacher trying to tell us, like, isn't this a speech problem or isn't this like a cognitive problem? And then her and I would joke, how you gonna tell the speech pathologist about speech?
Exactly.
Or how you gonna tell the psychologist about like cognition stuff?
Yeah.
And so we would go back and forth, and I could not call her. I couldn't. I could not call her. I could not even text her. I couldn't. I could not do any of that. And then that's when I realized, even though I realized before, but I really realized, like, we are definitely off balance. Because remember I said it's 4-4.
Yeah.
And we'll forever be off balance.
Yeah.
And that's just something that we have to, I think my siblings and I have to learn the new normal. And we're still working. I can be honest. And we're still working on that. We're still working on the new normal because we are off balance. We don't have nobody to offset the boys or the girls. Because she was our oldest sister. We don't have anybody to manage that now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Girl. Like, even like just looking at Ria, her eyes right now, it's like, it's a transfer of energy because I know what that feels like, and like, I love you, and I want to remind you that I'm here and I understand it, because it is like something is off. It's an emptiness that will never be filled because of that loss. You know what I'm saying? But you just, like you said, this new normal, you learn how to navigate this new normal life for you. And you know, you have your happy days, but then you have your sad days. But one of the things I don't know, like, it was hard for me to, gosh, how do I even want to put this? It was hard for me to understand how to function in life without them, right? But I knew that life had to go on. This is not what they wanted me to do, is to be stuck in this wallowing space where it's like I'm not doing what they busted they ass to make you. Like we said on the last episode, I made you great. Yeah. So you need to continue. Exactly. So how dare I take this moment and fuck it up because I'm in my feelings? Like, they did everything they could. I feel like even my mother held on just to make sure we were okay. Like, even, oh my gosh, that moment, we'll talk about it. But even in that moment, I feel like she did everything. And I feel like my father did everything he could. And even in their passing, I remember holding both of their hands and being like, I'm going to be okay. Because I'm the baby from both of them. So I was like, I'm the baby. So it was like, I'm okay. Y'all can go. Because I know y'all are in pain. And y'all holding on. And I remember someone was even said that. I forget who it was. And was talking about my mother, and they was like, she's in so much pain, but she's holding on because someone won't let her go. And I lost it because I'm like, I know I'm that person. Because as much as it's selfish because it's like I see her in pain, but it's like, that's my mama.
You still
know
need
what
your
I'm
mama.
saying? And that's my daddy. And it's like, no, I don't want you in pain, but it's like, I need you here. I haven't even experienced life for like, I'm in my 30s. I have, but I've experienced some life, but it's like,
Not like
I
life
have so much more to
Yeah.
enjoy, or this Cameron's so young, it's so much more that she's going to be doing that I want you a part of. So it's like, how do I do this? So in my grief, it was like my sister, my middle sister, she's amazing, and she's like that rock and that strong one. It's like, okay, yes, we're hurting, but how can we manage this? And one of the things we did was go to therapy. So I was going to therapy prior to both of their passing, but even more so, it's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do life. I need someone to coach me through it, give me some tools, some strategies. So I went through counseling. It wasn't a great fit. It's a counseling or having a therapist is like a relationship.
I was about to say, you have to really pick and choose to find a therapist. Like, you gotta, like dating. It's like dating. It's like dating. It's like, let's go on a couple dates to see how this work out. And sometimes it's like a good boom, and then sometimes it's like we still gotta.
Yeah, I had to do some work. So I went through maybe 2 therapists at that time, and just wasn't a good fit. And my main therapist, because she felt like she wasn't equipped to help me through my grief, so she gave me insight into an opportunity to join Grief Share. Grief Share is a community-based organization that is therapy through churches, and it's a 13-week course, and you go through everything related to grief and aspects I didn't even realize that I needed to tap into, not even for myself, for my family, but for Cam, for my daughter. And it's amazing. We meet weekly. You could do it in person or via Zoom, but you dive into these like we were talking about the stages of grief or different things, and this past one was dealing with your anger. And baby, that was something hard for me, because it's like, I feel like this isn't fair. Not to say any other parents should have endured it, but my parents didn't have to go through what they went through. So it pisses me off. Like, so honestly, so dealing with it.
But the one emotion about anger, though, and what we've learned about anger is like a second emotion. So remember, you said you were scared. And so like that's you being fearful turned into that anger. You see what I'm saying?
For sure. But that is one of the topics that we talk about in Grief Share. So for anyone that is experiencing loss of your parents, of your children, unfortunately, anything like that, siblings, I will definitely recommend Grief Share to anybody. It definitely has helped me, and people say they go through it 2-3 times, because again, grief is a journey. So what I may have felt in 2020 is something totally different than what I'm feeling in 22. You know what I'm saying? So grief is a reality all of us are gonna face. You know what I'm saying? Because grief is a response to someone that you love. And I when someone's told me that, it was like, you're supposed to. That's a part of this of life, because you love somebody. And unfortunately, God, they're not ours. You know what I'm saying?
They're not. It's grief is like the final stage of love.
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
I've loved you so much to the beginning, and now I have to deal with the love and losing you, but still love you.
Yeah, because I've lost this physical of you, and like that love is still there, and that's what you
deal with.
That is love. It is, and it's something that my nephew, he's amazing, and he sent me this video of KRS-One talking about grief, and he was talking about losing someone in the physical, but what you gain in the spiritual, and he was saying, and I can't get the quote completely, I will post it on the page, because it's so deep, and he's an amazing human. But he talks about grief, and he was like, you had this person, this physical, now you have them in this spiritual realm to move things that you can't. You know what I'm saying? So to think that I have my parents here that fulfill so many needs for me physically, and now they're in this spiritual realm that I can talk to, and that can speak on my behalf to the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Say that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how powerful is that? So it's just changing your perspective of like, yes, I lost this person physically, but they're forever in my heart. It's like, I feel that energy around me at certain times, like, Daddy, I see what you're doing. Mama, I see what you're doing. Because
Right.
you get these moments where you can smell a smell, or it'll be a song, or it'll just be a moment that you guys share together. That's like, okay, I feel you here with me. I'm not by myself. Even though it feels empty because I don't have you physically here, you're still present.
Yeah, and then it's like this quote that I always post like around my sister's birthday and death. And it's always, if there's ever a time when we can't be together, keep me in your heart, and I will be there forever. And that's just kind of like what Marcel said. Like, we see them. I mean, they see us, and we see them like around, but it's just hurtful that they're not here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's just the only thing. And then not like losing my sister, but like I told you about, like my niece, my cousin rather, but that's like my niece. She died tragedy in a whole tragic car accident, her and her baby son. And so like having my sister pass and then having her pass recently after, that's just something that again, learning that new normal and learning going through the stages of grief, because for a long time, I'm gonna be really honest with you, I'm gonna keep it 100. I was in denial. The two stages I felt within grief was denial, because I could not believe it. I was in denial with my sister too, I ain't gonna lie about that. But I was in denial when she passed. And denial and anger, those two, it was like balancing. And I remember like my siblings, or even my cousins, or even like my mom or something, and we'll talk and we'll bring her up, and I'll be like, nope, I can't do it. I'm not. I would not do it. I could not do it. And for a long time, I was in denial. I'll just be like, I'm not talking about this, because it will hurt my heart so bad, because she was so young, and then her baby son, and I could not take it. So it took me a long time to move past denial. And I don't even think I went to acceptance after denial. I think I went into like guilty or guilt, not rather guilty. I think I went into guilt, and I think I stayed in anger for a while. And then I want to say this year is kind of the acceptance part. Because for a long time I wouldn't accept it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't even say that I'm there. I know I wanted them to be at peace. I wanted them to be free of any pain. But accepting it was like I was so angry, not at anyone particularly, because I was really into my faith journey at that time when my mother got sick. And because of that, it was like, God, what are you doing? Like, I questioned him so often. Because it's like how, why them, you
like,
know what I'm saying?
Getting closer to you,
and
this supposed to be a transactional thing,
exactly,
like, you know, we peoples now.
Exactly. Like,
so
we good.
what's up?
Exactly.
You supposed to
I've
give me what I want.
accepted this into my life, and knowing of how important it was like, how could you do that? Like, I'm gaining, I'm wanting to grow closer to you. In a sense, I feel like I was growing closer only to go through this and feel even more closer to God. Because again, I don't know how I would have made it to this moment, even right now, if I didn't accept him into my life. You know what I'm saying? So,
I definitely get it. If your faith, because I feel that same way too. Because a lot of times, when I go through a lot of stuff, I just be like, if it's not for God, then I would probably, like you said earlier, I don't want to know that girl. I don't want to know her. Y'all don't want to know her
at all.
Because it's to the point to where you scare her what she can become, right? You're not, because you don't have any control over her, and that's probably why you don't want to know her. So it's scary on what she can become and what she can do and the terror she can cause.
For sure.
So that's why I'm like, nah.
And that's why it was important for me to figure it out, check it however I possibly could, and like lean into those resources, lean into my family, lean into my friends, and let them know I'm not okay. So, and I think that's a big thing of even within our community. You will see somebody like, how you doing? Everybody be like, I'm okay, I'm good. And I got to a certain point and be like, no, today was heavy. No, in this moment, maybe right now I'm talking to you, I'm okay. Can't tell you 10, 20 minutes.
I like that you
from
said
there,
that.
like how I will be, but I think it's it's important for me now to be able to fully express myself and not hold that weight on me, because I think that's what it was in March, is that I had held it so tight because I was so scared that like I was like a steam pot and that shit blew up. You know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to contain it so much. And it is something therapeutic about releasing it. So therapy, venting, but you know, not venting to the point where you're being always so negative, because I felt like that too, that it's like I didn't want to share because it felt like a dark cloud. I didn't want to seem like this super like but sad person.
You do have to like in stages, and I'm just not talking about just like in grief, but when we go through certain situations, like we said earlier, life be lifing. Everybody, and y'all know, y'all have seen me, I'm a goofy, I'm a laugh, I'm a kick a joke, I'm a do whatever. Class clown, don't play. But what I'm saying is that sometimes it's okay for you not to be okay, but it's okay to not show that joyful self. And I understand that sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. But guess what? That happens. Everybody, and quite honestly, and we know this, everybody is not happy all the time. Sometimes we're content. Let's just say that we can be content in sadness, content when things are not going our way. So that's a different type of emotion. But I'm not gonna be like not joyful, you know, just upbeat and bubbly. That's the word I'm looking for all the time, especially when life kicking my ass.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
no, seriously, I totally get that. It was just that I don't know. I was scared of myself, and I was scared of how far it could go, and because I knew that. And I am a mother, I'm a single parent, that I knew I had to be present for Cam. And this was another way of her motivating me to get it together and reminding me of like the love that my parents had for me, and they wouldn't have wanted me to be suffering like that. So therapy, you know what I'm saying?
Therapy, talking to others
that you trust. And
trusted.
Yeah, very thankful that we both have such a trusted circle around us. Village around us that we could lean into those people and extend it. I just want to promote, and this isn't sponsored by anyone, but Grief Share was amazing. It was amazing. You get a workbook, you can write through your issues pertaining to that particular
like journaling
week. Yeah, like journaling.
Remember we talked about, I had talked to Chloe about a couple of times about journaling, because I've been journaling forever. I kept a diary when I was like 10 years old. So so journaling does, it releases a lot. It releases a lot in you.
That paper to pencil.
Yeah, it has to be paper to pencil though. Because sometimes I will journal a thought in my phone and notes, but it doesn't have the same effect.
Again, the energy is like it's there. It's in your mind. It's in your heart, and you are releasing it with every pencil or pen stroke. You know what I'm saying? So you're getting that emotion out. So even when you don't have those people to talk to, you can at least get it out on paper. Get those feelings out. Versus holding them in.
Yeah, you don't want to hold them in. So So another thing that with grief, we talked about, you know, us being angry and denial, and then that guilt, like what could I have done more? I know I felt that same way, and I know you talked about that too. But the part where you have to, and I know we touched on this, but just like build and live and just have that new normal. Like, I think that part is, of course we know it's scary, but it can be overwhelming at times, because it's like I'm building a whole new life with a person that I thought was going to be with me the entire time. And a lot of times, and I'm a good for a schedule. Like, I can, you know, veer and be flexible. But like, I need you here and you here and you here. And when you take that portion out, it makes things, like I said, overwhelming, but it makes it like a seesaw kind of. And then, like you said, and I made decisions that I know I shouldn't have made, impulsive decisions I've dated that I shouldn't have. I should have just left them. Like my granny used to say, let them at the door.
For sure.
Because ain't have a pot to piss in on the window to throw it out of, baby. I should have left, like my granny used to say, I should have left them at the door. But because, you know, we were hurting, you do make impulsive decisions, but you have to forgive yourself for those decisions.
Give yourself some grace.
Give yourself some grace.
My sister always says that. Even for like every time we got on the phone or when we were about to end, she would remind me, give yourself grace. Like, remember, you're hurt. This is a journey. You're going through this, and forgive yourself. It's okay.
Yourself.
You're not perfect. You know, none of us are. You know what I'm saying? But when we lean into Him and get that strength, gain that peace, I think that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? That we can acknowledge His presence in our lives.
Exactly. Now acknowledge His presence. Know that God is always present.
Yeah,
and then that's that grace, peace, that peaceness. Because a lot of times, if you just release yourself, a lot of times, if you just release yourself and just release whatever you're trying to control, that's what I was trying to get out of, then He will give you like peace in a storm.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing, give it to Him. He says that. Give Him all of those worries, those doubts, those fears, and He will replace them with His love. And I think that it was very hard for me to relinquish that because of my fear. I was scared of like what that would mean, or how do you even communicate to God that I'm angry, maybe at you, because it's like you created this storm for me. And it's like, what am I supposed to learn from this? But it's like, what if you never get this understanding? Because this is a part of life.
And you
what
need
will
to
you
have
do
peace
then?
With that understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have peace and contentment. If you don't ever
get it, if you don't ever get it, so what will you do if you never get this understanding? You know what I'm saying?
Because you have to move on. You have to be calm. You have to be, like you said, you have to continue to live for Cam. I got to continue to live for Mark. Yeah. So I can't turn around and be like bitter or be angry all the time or resentful. That's the perfect word I was looking for, because I haven't dealt with this. Yeah. Or I haven't made my peace with the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I know we didn't talk about this, but like sometimes you have to make peace in situations when you grieving relationships. Yeah. You know, people, friendships rather, I should say. Sometimes, you know, you thought they were your friend and things like that. And then you have to, it's okay to like grieve a friendship. Yeah. Because sometimes at that moment, y'all were, you know, vibing and good, but it's just not. It's not like it used to be.
Oh, yeah, because people come into your life for seasons, and they're coming into your life to show you or to teach you things, and you have to trust whatever that was and be okay with letting it go. You know what I'm saying? When it no longer serves you.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just remembered this one quote I heard. You don't ever hear winter trying to be summer, and you don't ever hear summer trying to be spring, and you don't ever hear spring trying, well, in St. Louis maybe. But you all get what I'm saying. Like, you don't ever hear one trying to be the other. Like, they serve their purpose for everything. Like, in the winter, it's cold, and then the grass is, you know, it turns brown because of the cold, but it needs to turn brown so it can bloom in the springtime.
Exactly. So with our parents, with our siblings that we have lost, you know, they were in our life, they showed us something, and I truly believe who I was in 2017 is totally different from who I am in 2022, and I'm glad, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was some growth and there was some maturity in that, even though it was a heartbreak of their loss, you know what I'm saying? But I'm a better person now, and, you know, my goal is to continue making them proud, you know what I'm saying? And to live my life that they would have wanted for me, that they worked their butts off to afford me with.
Sure.
So, I think that's what carries me through, and, you know, during those dark times when I do get sad, I have to remember, like, they're still here, they're still present, you know what I'm saying? So continue making them proud and making, you know, better and more mature decisions when it comes to my life, because I know that it rightfully impacts Cam's too, so, yeah.
And agreed, I agree. And then also, two things before we wrap up. We forgot your emoji.
Oh, shit, my emoji is totally different from when we started.
Well, you already know. You guys already know. I be like, I feel this way. So, your emoji.
Shit. My emoji, like right now?
I guess throughout the show.
Shit, obviously I'm not one with the tears. Or like, I don't know what my emoji is. I'm gonna have to probably look through. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a lot of different things right now.
So I'm feeling the one with tears for
sure. Yeah,
for
sure.
I'm feeling the one with hugs. I'm feeling the one with love because just remembering, you know, her love that she has, and then your parents' love that they have for you. Your parents' love that they have for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So feeling that, and then. What else I should say? probably like an exclamation point because you know it's all heightened.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. The emotions are heightened right now in a good way because. Again, doing this podcast, it's like an opportunity to kind of get like some emotions. Angel, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll take that one too. It's an opportunity to get this out, and I hope that this episode for sure was helpful to someone who may be enduring loss. Our community, there are definitely some resources, so we'll definitely post some on our page of
Grief
where you
share,
can.
But it's another one. Something kids. It's on the south side. It's a grief group with children. I have to think about it, but we'll definitely post it.
Yeah, that there are resources in order to get those feelings out, and even before just loss, when you're just dealing with life, we said life be lifing. And for our children, we have to even extend them some grace because they don't know. We are there to teach them and to afford them those opportunities to vent, to release, and to gain some tools in order to cope. So as a community, we all need that. So as Womanology, we will extend those resources, and I hope that us just having this dialogue, this conversation, help someone. Hit us up. Like, we are there to support you through it. We're all going through it, but to know that you have an extension in Womanology to be, a support for you during these times. Yeah,
for sure. Shout out to our producer, Daryl.
As always, man behind the scenes.
Man behind the scenes. All right, y'all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.